Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's weekly live immigration attorney chat here at Immigration for Couples. I'm happy to be with all of you. I see we have some questions already here in the queue and some individuals joining us live. So Ginger, I love that you're here first. You know the drill. Good morning to you. You said you're really excited that under a month you get to go visit your fiance, and taking my mom to visit too for the first time. Oh, that's awesome. We hope you have an amazing trip. I know it's been a while since you told us about your last trip, so that's very exciting. It's great to have you here this morning. All right, and I see more of you are joining us live. So if this is the first live that you're joining, welcome. We're really excited to have you in this community. Our firm here, Immigration for Couples, we are dedicated exclusively to helping couples across the nation and across the world in navigating the U.S. immigration process. And we have a free resource center, and Ria will throw the link in on the comments. She's already got it in there for everyone. And our free resource center is very robust. We have downloadable charts that give you an overview of the spouse and the fiance visa process. You can actually download a free chapter of my book. So here is the book. I have it in the back too. I always like to hold up the cover because on the very front, this heart graphic, these are some of the amazing couples that my team and I have had the honor of guiding in their immigration journey, and they give their advice. So you can actually download a free chapter of my book, the relationship evidence chapter in the resource center, and there's tons of other resources there too as well. All right. And Maria, good morning. It's so great to see you here. I hope you're having a really great day too. So for those of you who know the drill, I always like to ask, where are you at in the world? And where are you at in your immigration journey? And most importantly, how are you doing? How are you feeling? So Ginger, you kicked us off. So you're feeling excited, and you had said you're hoping everybody's keeping positive, and I hope so too. So hi there. Great to have you. Great to have you here. Haruna, that's so exciting. You have your interview date in 6 days. So congratulations. You're in the home stretch. Please let us know how it goes if you would like to let us know and next week. So, but best of luck to you. That's very exciting. All right. And so after you have answered, where you're at in the world, good morning to you too. And you're so welcome, Haruna. We're very excited for you. And I'm glad that this community has been a helpful resource for you. All right. And Haruna, I'll definitely grab your question. I just want to see which other individuals have let me know where they're at and how they're feeling. So your visa, we have a lot of visa interviews here today. Then yours is on the 27th and you're super nervous. That's normal. Haruna's asking for some interview tips. So I'll give those tips for both of you. All right. And good morning to you as well. All right. Another interview here. Oh, say that your same one. Okay. Got it. Good morning to you too, Terrence. Great to have you. Great to have you, Monique. You're in the Philippines. Wonderful. All right. So let's dive in here to the questions that we have. Haruna, you're the first one up, it looks like, perhaps. Okay. Oops. So Stacy, I'm not sure if I'm clear on your question. The visa integrity fee affect the K-1 visa since it's initially a non-immigrant visa that becomes an immigrant visa. I'm not sure if I'm clear on what you're asking. If you could throw some more details in on specifically what you're wanting to know, that would be helpful. So, okay. So Damien, you said your wife and family and you're going on a 4-day vacation to Alabama, to Orlando, flying domestically. You have a green card pending application through adjustment of status, and you have a passport from Jamaica, and you're wanting to know, is domestic travel safe? That's a really, really great question. I'm glad you're asking that because I'm sure there's a lot of others who wonder that as well. And the answer is, like a lot of immigration questions and a lot of legal questions, is it depends. So it depends. Do you have a current status outside of just being a pending adjustment application? So having an adjustment application pending means you are transitioning your status. That means you may have a visitor visa or a student visa, and you're transitioning from that visa to a green card status. Oftentimes, individuals who are going through adjustment of status have fallen out of status, so if you have overstayed your tourist visa, if you've overstayed your ESTA, if you've in any way overstayed your status and you're not currently holding a status, so if you don't currently have some kind of visa that's still current and valid, and not just that the visa is valid, but that your period of a stay hasn't expired. So for example, if you're coming on a tourist visa, you're able to stay up to 6 months, 180 days. If you're coming on ESTA, you're able to stay up to 90 days. So if you've overstayed that, even if you have an adjustment of status application pending for your green card, that adjustment of status application doesn't afford you any kind of lawful status or protection necessarily. It gives you some protection, but it doesn't give you lawful status. Yes, you can have a work permit, and if you've ever overstayed your visa and that's your current situation, it can be very risky to travel domestically. And often I advise clients to not to travel domestically if that's the situation. I'm not telling you not to, because I don't know the specifics of your immigration history or background, but just so you are aware, and so everyone's aware, that can be very risky, especially with this administration. Currently, there have been cases reported across the country where individuals have gone to their interview and have overstayed status, and that there have been detentions of those individuals. So ICE has actually come to those interviews and detained those individuals. I completely disagree with that, and that's a whole different topic. And all that to say is that given the current political climate, it makes traveling domestically, if you're out of status, even more risky because of that. Because really, if you're traveling and you're going through an airport, we as immigration attorneys, I will say, like, it's like going into the lion's den. Immigration is right there. Yes, you're going through TSA, but TSA can flag immigration. And so it's very risky is what I mean to say. So that was a long answer, but I think it's important for all of you to have clarity and have background and understand that. That's great that you've been following on YouTube for a few months and you're finally able to join. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here. I'm glad you were able to join live. All right, Damien. So I hope that helps answer your question. Okay. So let's see. Haruna, I know that yours was next because you and then also you have your interview on the 27th. So I know both of you were asking for like guidance and advice. So what kind of questions can you expect at your spouse visa interview? And this goes for spouse visa interviews and fiance visa interviews, is that a majority of the questions are going to come from your application. So what I always tell my clients to do is we review through the very first petition that was filed. We review through the online applications that were filed. Depending on what case you have, it'll be a DS-160 or a DS-260. Make sure you're familiar with all of the documents, the evidence that has been submitted, and all of the information on your applications. That's number one, very important. And then a big part of this interview, the most important part of this interview, is your relationship. Immigration is, of course, going to ask you questions about your relationship, because this immigration officer at your spouse or fiance visa interview, they have a final sign off on whether or not they believe your relationship. So I've seen couples, sadly, who have done their own case or maybe worked with someone who isn't a licensed expert immigration attorney, and they didn't understand the importance of this interview day and that this immigration officer is the one that gives the final sign off. And so if you're not prepared, this officer can actually decide, and I don't say all this to scare you, I'm telling you this so you are prepared, and I know that's what you're planning on doing, but that if you don't answer the questions correctly, like if you don't know your spouse's date of birth, if you don't know the date of marriage, I know that, Harina, I know you know these things, but if that happens, the immigration officer can actually say, you know what, I don't believe this relationship, and they can send the case back to the US, back to USCIS to review it. So it's really, really important. I can't stress enough how important it is to go back and review all of the applications you filed, make sure you're familiar with all of the evidence, review your relationship history timeline. They will ask you questions about when you met and how you met, when you started dating, when you got engaged, of course, when you got married, understanding relationship history, if there were prior marriages in the past. All of those questions are fair game. So those are the types of questions. And then in my book that's back there, Navigating Love and Immigration, you can you can buy that on Amazon or on the website if you would like. And I have a bunch of information in there about the interview and interview questions. Or we also have free resources as well on the Resource Center. And I recently did a video. Ria could post that about the adjustment of status interview. It's a little different than yours, but it will give you an idea as well, Haruna, on questions. So Ria, that was the marriage adjustment of status top interview questions video, if you wanted to throw that in too for everyone. All right. So that was a lot. Okay. So hopefully that helps, Haruna, and for anybody else who has an interview. I just wanted to say I was just kind of looking at a few of the other questions that are popping up in here. All right. Oh, and that's a question for someone else in the group. Okay. And then, yes, my advice is to you is the same as to Haruna about how to prepare for the interview. So I hope that those questions were helpful. Good morning. So great to have you here, Antonio. Patricia, great to have you. Oh, you had some bad weather. Hopefully everybody's safe and that weather has passed. Yay, there's Lisa. So you're in cloudy Tampa Bay. I hope you're having a good day. You're very welcome. I'm glad that was helpful. All right. And so then I'm actually going to go back to one of the questions I had. Okay, so you were asking about whether or not you're having to pay. Okay, now your question makes sense. I mean, it's possible. Nothing has been implemented. Nothing has been implemented yet. So stay tuned. I know that it's something there's a lot of suggestions and proposals right now. And until it's final, until we have an official word from USCIS, it's still just in proposal form. So it could. K-1s are interesting that they are technically a non-immigrant visa, but you're right. They transition to an immigrant visa upon arrival once you get married and file. So it could, they might have to. It's possible. And then immigration will give an update, once it has or hasn't been implemented. Okay. So your wife filed the I-130 in August of 2024. Okay, so you're coming up at about a year here. But then you later withdrew the application in December because you were having issues in your marriage, and you later refiled in June. Will the withdrawal affect us? Yes. Immigration is going to have a lot of questions about what happened, why you withdrew it, what were the issues in the marriage, what has changed since, and why you decided to refile, and why you're in a committed relationship, and proof that you are in a committed relationship. So it definitely is one of immigration's what they call red flags. They have what's called an adjudicator's manual. That's the manual that immigration officers use to review cases. And so in that adjudicator's manual, there's a really long list of what they call red flags, things that if they see, they need to look closer and dig deeper. So having prior applications for the same, whether there's for the same or a different individual or a different marriage, definitely is one of those red flags, and it will definitely come up and need to be addressed. And it will come up throughout the process and definitely at the interview. All right. Okay. All right. So Callie, oh yes, and I remember your name, and I remember your picture from last time. I liked the picture with the horse. So your husband and I are doing the I-130, and by the time you get to the end and you're needing the affidavit of support or the sponsorship, if for some reason the sponsor doesn't come through, can you use my house and land? You have a lot of equity. However, I've heard that doesn't work. So yes, if you have a joint sponsor, that's always the most ideal situation. Well, the most ideal situation is if, right, you as the petitioner have enough income on your tax return to be able to be the sole sponsor. Second best is if you have a joint sponsor or assets. You can use assets. If for some reason the joint sponsor is not going to work, or you can't find someone, you can use assets, and we use them quite a bit for our clients. And it does often result in what I call a little bit of paperwork, a game of ping pong where we're going back and forth with immigration and really outlining the math and why these assets are valid. We usually include a legal brief, explain why these assets can be used, go through the calculation with them, and we have definitely had assets be approved as a substitute for not making enough or not having a joint sponsor. But it does require much more careful preparation of the evidence and careful explanation to the officers, or very clear legal arguments to them about why it's considered, and it depends on the immigration officer if they're going to be willing to accept it. But usually there is a little bit of back and forth. So yes, you can use your house. You do need to have we usually have our clients get an appraisal, because if they haven't had one in the past year, because immigration will require that, you have to provide proof that you are the owner of the home. If you have a mortgage on the home, then you would have to do the calculation for immigration and show them what equity exists. So yes, you can use your home, but it can be a little bit more difficult. So okay. So you're in Maine, your fiance's in Kenya. He was pre-approved at the interview. We had to provide the PCC and the divorce decree, which we submitted. Why are you still waiting? That's a good question. Have you followed up with the U.S. Embassy or consulate? I'm sure you followed up with Nairobi to find out for an update. But if you haven't, that would be the next step, is to reach out to them and see, is there anything else they need, and if they can provide you with an update. Unfortunately, if documents are requested post at the interview or post interview, and even if you provide them quickly, sometimes it still takes immigration a while to respond. Sometimes they're doing background checks. There's a lot of different reasons. I know it's frustrating to have to wait, but that would be the next step, is to reach out to Nairobi and see if they can give you an update. All right. And Kimberly, another thing you can do is to reach out to your congressional representative. You or our senator, you can use the Find My Representative tool, and they can help you liaise with the consular post if you have any issues getting any kind of response from Kenya. They please understand that U.S. embassies and consulates, they can't ask the embassy to approve the case, but they can help be a more direct line of communication if needed. We do that a lot for our cases. So good luck. Hopefully you get a decision soon. You're in the home stretch. I know it's hard when you're at these final steps to still be waiting on immigration, right? All right. Okay. So you're in Pakistan. Your wife is a U.S. citizen. You applied for the spouse visa back in May of 2024. So hopefully you'll get a decision here soon. Oh, there you go. Now there's here you were. I had the rest of what I was thinking. So it's been about 14 months, no updates. Yes, you're expecting a decision soon. Yes, I would expect something here soon. You're getting close. So good. We all wish you luck, and keep us posted. Hopefully you get an approval here soon. Yay. You usually have a meeting at 11:15 that was canceled, so you're happy to be here. We're really happy to have you. This is great that you're able to be with us. You're transferred to the National Visa Center, but you're still waiting on the case number. All right. Well, hopefully, and do you have okay, yeah. And so Annette, it looks like you're talking with a few others in the group. Um, yeah, and Vicky, you were saying, yeah, that the delay to transfer the cases. Yeah, yeah, it's hard. I know the wait time for the cases to be transferred is long right now for fiancé visas. And I've been practicing immigration law for over a decade now. And there's been times where it's super quick that it gets transferred in 30 days, and then it went up to 60. We've seen it go a little bit beyond that. It just ebbs and flows, such as immigration. Wait times are always in flux and sometimes going up. But hopefully your case, Annette, gets transferred quickly. So all right. So what do I suggest for someone who hasn't been able to decide on a fiance versus a spouse? If you haven't married yet, and if they should file on your own or through an immigration attorney? Okay, so 2 questions then. First and foremost, whether you should do a spouse or a fiance, and then DIY versus an immigration attorney. All right. So the I'll give you some of the main reasons that individuals will pick the fiance visa. Typically, the number one reason the fiance visa is chosen is if couples are looking for the fastest option. So when I say fast, I don't mean real world fast. I don't mean sports car fast. I mean immigration fast. So the fiance visa is faster than the spouse visa. It was created with the intention that it would be a faster vehicle or means to go through the visa process and be together. It still is taking a solid year for most couples, sometimes more, sometimes less, but it's still much faster than the spouse visa. So that's the number one reason. Another reason that individuals will choose the fiance visa is if there are children that are over the age of 18 but under the age of 21, because there's certain age out rules that don't apply to fiance visas but do apply to spouse visas. So that's something I always look at. And if there are children that are wanting to come as a family, if the family's wanting to come as a unit, then we look at the fiance visa. Spouse visa, couples will choose knowing that it's much longer. Typically it takes about twice as long than the fiance visa, but the couples will pick that because the individual wants to be able to enter the country and work right away and not have any limitations like the fiance visa. Because with the fiance visa, you enter, but you have to stay in the US. There's periods of time that you can't work. And so it's really going to be largely dependent on your goals for the future. And it's also going to be very dependent on your immigration history. There are some situations where, because of complex immigration history or because of a relationship history, many other factors, I will advise couples on one path over the other because of that. So it's going to really be very couple and case specific. So and we do have a free resource center. Ria had thrown that link in the comments there. I'm streaming on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and I know you're watching on YouTube, so that the link should be there, but it's immigrationforcouples.com, and I have a free webinar that you should check out. I go through the different options that are available, the pros and the cons, proving your relationship. It's very in-depth, so that would be a good place to start. And that's also going to be a very helpful resource when you're trying to understand whether or not you want to try to do your own case or if you want to hire an expert. So there's a difference between hiring an immigration attorney and hiring someone who is an experienced expert immigration attorney to be in your corner. Having an immigration attorney gives you the benefit of you not having to try to learn immigration laws. And the biggest benefit is that it will allow you to avoid some of the most common pitfalls that couples who do it themselves fall into. It gives you peace of mind that things are being done properly. So the question about whether or not you should do your own case really comes down to, what do you want for your immigration journey? Whenever couples ask me this question, should I do it on my own or hire an immigration attorney? It really comes down to, what do you want for your immigration journey? What time do you have? Do you have enough time and bandwidth to sit down, teach yourself immigration, or would that time be better spent on nurturing your relationship? Would you benefit from having peace of mind of knowing you're leveraging someone else's expertise? My team and I, we've helped thousands of couples go through this process successfully, and we know exactly the steps. We know what's coming next. We can help you prepare proactively. We can help you avoid common pitfalls. And so those are some of the things to consider in deciding, whether or not you're wanting to hire an expert to help you. I am making a series right now. If you all are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because I'm doing a whole series on the most common mistakes to avoid in your immigration journey. And I have over 33 videos, but all of these mistakes are mistakes that I've seen from couples who've done their own case or couples who have hired one of those, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I don't have a better way of describing it, but like the cheap document preparer companies that aren't really immigration attorneys, these are all the common mistakes that I have seen over my decade-long career. And I just keep making these videos because I want people to be aware of some of these really common pitfalls that I've seen couples fall into, because it's heartbreaking when they come to me and then I'm having to, my team and I are having to maybe give them bad news about having to start over, or sometimes there's even bigger issues that are going to take much longer to solve. So all of those, Antonio, will be in that series, so you can listen to those too, and that would be helpful too in your decision making process. All right, so that was a long answer to your question, but I hope that was helpful. All right, Vicki, that's great. Congratulations. And your State Department transfer is estimated to be on October 8th. All right, so you're making some really big progress. So congratulations, and thank you for sharing with all of us. That's exciting. All right. You're very welcome, Callie. All right. Okay, and then you did follow up, and that they tell you to keep checking online. So it can take months, unfortunately. Hopefully you get a decision soon. Keep checking. Yeah, definitely keep checking that online case status, and we'll be sending you prayers and positive vibes. Hopefully you'll get a good decision soon, a positive decision soon. Oh, yay, that is good news. I know that was something that you have expressed concern about vaccination. So that's great that she had those vaccinations and is all set. All right. I'm going to be able to do like one, maybe two more questions, but I have a hard stop here at 11:30. Have a lot of cases to file here, which is exciting, and we've had a lot of interviews scheduled, lots of approvals. So things are moving. Hopefully that gives you all hope. Um, you filed your I-130, still a year away from decision mode. Yeah, it takes a while. My wife is in DR. I visit this week. Of course, there will be documentation photos. Should these also be added to evidence at USCIS? Yes, because throughout the spouse visa process, you do have to keep proving your relationship at each step in the process. What I advise clients, save all of this type of evidence, so we have it ready when we get to the National Visa Center and interview phase. So that's great. And have an amazing trip. Have lots and lots of fun. Take lots of photos. That's exciting. Um, so your K1 visa, you were refused due to the travel ban. Is there any hope for K1 visas to be exempt? We are all hoping, all of us immigration practitioners are hoping that we see that the K1 visas are added to the list of exemptions. The travel ban has been extremely inhumane, and it's really sad to see that it's upending a lot of people's lives, especially the K1 visa applicants. So if you're working with an immigration attorney, I hope you have spoken with him or her about options for moving forward. There can be options with litigation. Some individuals are opting to get married and file the spouse visa. So there are still options. There's still options for you. It just is likely going to unfortunately add time to your wait. So we're hopeful. We're hopeful. Please, everybody, keep reaching out to your congressional representatives. Use the Find Your Representative tool. Share with them the impact that this travel ban has had on your life, and ask them to advocate for change. All right. Hang in there. I know that's really hard. Our hearts go out to you. All right. Yay, that's exciting. I'm excited to meet with you. You were just wondering in general, how long does it take for the fiance visa application to be prepared and ready to be filed? Usually our team will be able to file the application within a few weeks. It depends on the client. There's a lot for you to collect at the beginning and submit to us. But the sooner you get us the documents, the sooner we can get it filed. Our goal is to help you get filed as soon as possible, and also to file the strongest application possible. So we'll talk more about that next week. I'm really excited to meet with you one-on-one. All right. Okay, I do need to jet. So I see one more question. I'm going to grab it, and then I do have to jet. I'm right at 11:30. So you have a question for a friend. She was banned 5 years. What comes first? Apply for the waiver, file I-130. Ban will be over on September of 2025. So typically you're going to start with a petition, and from there go to an interview, at which time you'll be denied and then be filing a waiver, typically. So your friend should definitely, in a situation like that, 100% speak with an immigration attorney, because the process could be a little different depending on what was the ground of inadmissibility, what was the ban. But typically, generally, that'll be the process that'll follow. Waivers can be a tricky beast, and sometimes it might say that there's a ban for 5 years, but if there's other grounds of inadmissibility that aren't time barred, the person can still sometimes need a waiver. So super critical that individual, that your friend, talks with an immigration attorney. We handle immigration waivers all the time, so feel free. Referrals are the greatest compliment we can receive. Feel free to send your friend to our website, and we'd be happy to help. All right, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Hang in there. Like I said, we're getting interviews. We're getting approvals every single day, work permits, everything. So everything is still moving slower than we want, but hang in there. The finish line is within reach. Don't lose hope. You're very welcome, Lisa. It was so great to have you here. All right. And then Maria, great to see you too. All right. God bless everyone. That's very sweet, Maria. Thank you for that. You're very welcome. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Bye.